You are smart, you work hard. Every single day you show up, you study, you push, you do everything they told you to do. And yet at the end of the month, the money is gone. You are not lazy. You are not careless. You are one of the hardest working people you know. And still the bank account does not grow the way it should. Here is the truth. The problem is not your effort. The problem is the trap. A trap built for smart, hard-working people like you. A trap so well designed that the smarter you are, the harder it is to see. Today we are going to name it. We are going to see it clearly. And by the end of this lesson, you will know exactly how to think differently about money, work, and wealth. This is a graded lesson for English learners who want to think and earn differently. 7 lessons, 7 traps, 1 shift that changes everything. Working hard is not enough. Thinking right is everything. Let us begin. Most people believe that if you work hard enough, money will follow. They believe that intelligence plus effort equals financial success. Schools teach this, parents repeat it, society rewards it. But look around you. Some of the hardest working people you know are broke. Some of the smartest people in your city are living paycheck to paycheck. They have degrees on the wall and debt in the bank. They are respected at work and stressed at home. This is not a coincidence. There is a reason why intelligent, hardworking people stay poor. Not because they are doing something wrong, but because they are doing the right things inside the wrong system. Think about that for a moment. You were trained to be excellent inside a system that someone else built. You were trained to follow rules, meet deadlines, get good grades, earn promotions. And you did all of that well, maybe better than most. But nobody told you the truth about money. Nobody told you that the rules of wealth are completely different from the rules of success in school or at work. That gap, that silence is the trap. And today we are going to shine a light on it. Not to make you feel bad, not to blame you, but to free you. Because once you see the trap, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, you can finally step out of it. 7 lessons are waiting for you. Each one will show you a different layer of the trap. Each one will give you something clear to think about, to question, and to use. If you are serious about changing how you think about money, subscribe right now. This channel is built for people who want more than just a bigger salary. It is built for people who want real financial freedom. Stay with me. The first lesson might be the most important thing you hear all year. Lesson 1. The Employee Mindset Trap. Listen carefully. From the day you started school, you were being trained not to be wealthy, to be useful, to be a good employee. Think about what school actually taught you. Show up on time. Follow instructions. Answer the questions correctly. Do what the teacher asks. Get a good grade. Move to the next level. Repeat. And when school was done, work continued the same pattern. Show up on time. Follow instructions. Do what the manager asks. Get a good performance review. Get promoted. Repeat. You did not design this system. You were placed inside it. And because you were smart, you became very good at it, better than most. That felt like success. It looked like success. But here is what nobody told you. The system was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you productive for someone else. Robert Kiyosaki wrote about this many years ago. He described 2 different worlds: the world of the employee and the world of the owner. In the employee world, you trade your time and your skills for a salary. The better your skills, the higher your salary. The more hours you give, the more you earn. Simple, clean, safe. In the owner world, something different happens. You build a system. The system works. The system earns. even when you are not there. He studied. He graduated. He got promoted. He stayed broke. That is the story of Marcus. Marcus was one of the best students in his school, then one of the best workers in his company. By 45, he was a senior manager at a large firm. He had a good salary, a nice title, and the respect of everyone around him. He also had no assets, no investments, no system that worked without him. Everything he had came from one source: his job. And his job required one thing: him. One day, Marcus sat down and looked at his financial life honestly. For 20 years, he had been solving problems, big problems, complex problems. He was excellent at it. But every problem he solved made his company more valuable, not him, not his future. An employee solves problems. An owner builds systems that solve problems. Marcus had spent 20 years on the wrong side of that line. Not because he was lazy, not because he was not smart enough, because nobody had ever shown him the other side existed. This is the first trap, and it is the most important one because all the other traps are built on top of it. If you think like an employee, you will always be looking for a better job, a higher salary, a bigger title. Each one feels like progress, and in the employee world it is. But in the wealth world, a higher salary is just a more comfortable cage. The question is not how much you earn. The question is what happens to what you earn. Does it work for you? Does it grow? Does it multiply while you sleep? School rewards the right answer. Wealth rewards the right question. The right question is not, how do I earn more? The right question is, how do I build something that earns without me? That is the shift. That is the door out of the first trap. You do not have to quit your job tomorrow. You do not have to throw away your career, but you do have to start thinking differently about what your job is for. Your salary is not the destination. It is the starting material. What you build with it, that is the destination. Start asking owner questions, even from inside an employee position. That small change in thinking is worth more than your next promotion. Lesson 2. The time for money ceiling. Now think about this. You have 24 hours in a day. So does Warren Buffett. So does the person who built the company you work for. So does everyone. Time is the one thing nobody can buy more of. And yet most smart, hardworking people have built their entire financial life on selling it. You sell your time. You get money. You sell more time. You get more money. It feels logical. It feels fair. An honest exchange. But there is a problem. A hard ceiling. And no matter how smart you are, no matter how hard you work, you cannot break through it by working harder. Think about your best month at work, the month you gave everything. Extra hours, extra effort, extra results. Now double that effort. Does your income double? No. Does it even grow by 10%? Probably not. That is the ceiling right there. You can feel it, even if you have never named it before. If you work more hours, if you take on more projects, if you push yourself harder than you have ever pushed before, you still hit the same wall. Because your income is connected to your time. And your time is finite. A consumer spends money to feel good today. A builder spends money to earn more tomorrow. Here is the difference between the two. The consumer looks at money as something to use. The builder looks at money as something to put to work. The consumer's wallet empties. The builder's system fills. Smart workers are often excellent consumers. They earn well, they spend well, they live well, but the money moves through them like water through a pipe. In one end, out the other. No asset is built. No system is created. The pipe does not grow wider. The wealthiest people in the world understood one thing early. You cannot scale yourself. You can only scale a system. Think about what that means. Scaling yourself means working more hours, learning more skills, taking more clients. There is a hard limit to all of that. You are one person. Your energy runs out. Your time runs out. Scaling a system means building something that works beyond your personal hours. A business, an investment, a piece of real estate, a product. Something that earns while you rest, while you sleep, while you are on a plane. The salary is not the problem. The salary is actually useful. It is the raw material. The problem is what happens next. Most smart workers take their salary and exchange it for a lifestyle, a nice apartment, a good car, dinners out, holidays. These are not wrong, but they are not systems. They do not compound. They do not grow. Compound growth works one way. Small ownership decisions made early, made consistently grow into something much larger over time. A small investment at 25 becomes a significant asset at 50. But only if you start. Only if you direct some of your money towards systems instead of spending all of it on comfort. The hard truth is this. Most smart people know this already. They have read about it. They understand the concept, and they still do not act on it. That gap between knowing and doing is where the trap lives. You cannot scale yourself. You can only scale a system. So the question is not, how do I earn more per hour? The question is, what system am I building with the hours I already have? Start small. One decision. One redirected amount of money. One thing that works a little bit without you. Then build from there. The ceiling is real, but it only applies to your time. It does not apply to a system you build. And the sooner you start building, the sooner the ceiling disappears. Lesson 3. Credential addiction. Stay with me. There is something that smart people do that feels completely right. It feels responsible. It feels like growth. And it is one of the most expensive habits a person can have. They keep collecting credentials, another degree, another certificate, another title, another year of preparation before they feel ready to take the next step. Another degree, another title, another year, another promise that this time things will change. It never feels like addiction. It feels like investment. It feels like becoming more qualified, more prepared, more deserving of success. And in some ways it is. More knowledge is rarely a bad thing. But here is what credential addiction actually does to your financial life. It costs money. It costs time. And most importantly, it keeps you inside the system instead of building your own. Every degree you earn makes you more valuable to an employer, not to yourself. More certified means more hireable. More hireable means more dependent on being hired. You become a better product for someone else's business. And you call it progress. Carol Dweck spent years studying how people respond to challenge and growth. She found that people with a fixed mindset try to look smart within existing rules. They optimize, they perform, they collect proof of their intelligence, degrees, awards, titles. All of it says, look how good I am at playing this game. But wealth does not care how well you play someone else's game. Wealth asks a different question. Can you build your own? Think about Diana. Diana was one of the sharpest people in her office. She read widely. She understood economics, investment theory, market cycles. She had taken 3 online courses on personal finance. She knew what an index fund was. She knew what compound interest meant. She could explain dollar cost averaging to anyone who asked. She had never bought a single share of anything. Every time she was close to starting, she found one more thing to learn first. One more concept to understand. one more risk to research. She was preparing, always preparing, for a moment of complete readiness that never came. Meanwhile, her colleague with half her knowledge started investing small amounts 3 years earlier. No special training, no certification, just a simple decision and a monthly habit. By the time Diana finally felt ready, her colleague had 3 years of compound growth ahead of her. A diploma is a promise of a job. It is not a promise of wealth. This is the trap. The belief that preparation is the same as progress, that knowing more will eventually lead to having more. It does not work that way. Wealth is built by doing, not by preparing to do. Now, this does not mean you should stop learning. Learning matters. Skills matter. Knowledge is useful. But there is a point where more preparation becomes an excuse, a comfortable, socially acceptable excuse that nobody will challenge because it looks responsible. Nobody will tell you that you studied too much. Nobody will say you are too prepared. Society rewards the credential. It celebrates the degree. It will never warn you when preparation has become paralysis. That warning has to come from inside you. The question to ask yourself is this: what am I waiting to know before I act? And is that thing truly necessary, or is it just one more way to feel safe inside the system? Real growth happens at the edge of what you know, not in the center of what you have already mastered. Stop preparing to be wealthy. Start doing one small thing that moves you toward it. Today, with the knowledge you already have. That is enough to begin. Lesson 4. The risk aversion trap. Hear me on this. Smart people are very good at seeing danger. That is part of what makes them smart. They can look at a situation, find the weak points, calculate the downside, and protect themselves from loss. In many areas of life, this is a gift. In wealth building, it is a trap. Here is why. Every significant financial opportunity carries risk. Every investment can lose value. Every business can fail. Every new direction contains uncertainty. That is not a flaw in the system. That is the system. Risk and reward are connected, always. You cannot have one without accepting some of the other. But smart people are better than most at finding reasons not to act. They see the risk clearly. They list it, they analyze it, they build a strong case for waiting, and then they wait. And while they wait, others act. Not reckless people, not lucky people. People who accepted a calculated risk and moved forward anyway. Warren Buffett did not become one of the wealthiest people in history by working longer hours than everyone else. He did not outstudy or outhustle his competition. He understood something simple and committed to it completely. He saw good opportunities, accepted the risk that came with them, and he owned things. He saw the risk. He calculated the risk. He accepted the risk. That is how he built $1 billion. He did not wait for certainty. He did not wait for the perfect moment. He acted on the best available information and let time do the rest. Most smart workers do the opposite. They see the risk and stop there. The analysis becomes the destination instead of the starting point. A smart person knows the answer. A rich person owns the question. What does that mean? A smart person can explain exactly why an investment is risky. A rich person asks, given this risk, what is the best way to position myself to benefit? One person stops at knowledge. The other person moves through knowledge into action. This is not about being careless. It is not about gambling. Calculated risk is not the same as blind risk. Buffett never bet randomly. He studied deeply, then acted decisively. The difference between him and the smart person who stays broke is not intelligence. It is what they did after the analysis was done. The safest road is often the most expensive one. Think about that carefully. Keeping money in a savings account feels safe. Zero risk. But inflation eats it slowly every year. The safe choice costs you money over time. The low-risk path is not actually low cost. It just hides its price well. The same is true for staying in a stable job with no additional income streams. Safe, comfortable, and quietly expensive in terms of the future you are not building. Real risk management is not about avoiding all risk. It is about choosing your risks wisely, accepting the right risks, saying no to the wrong ones, and moving forward with clarity instead of staying still with fear. If this lesson is hitting you, hit subscribe right now. There is more coming. Lessons that will change how you see money work and what is actually possible for you. Subscribe and stay until the end. You have already seen 4 traps. The employee mindset, the time ceiling, the credential addiction, and now the fear of risk that looks like wisdom but acts like a wall. 3 more traps are waiting, and the last one is the most important shift of all. Stay with the lesson. We are just getting to the center of it. Lesson 5. The paralysis of complexity. Let me make this simple. Smart people have a complicated relationship with simplicity. They distrust it. When something looks too easy, too clear, too straightforward, their intelligence kicks in and says, there must be something I am missing. There must be a layer I have not examined yet. So they dig deeper. They research more. They find more complexity. And complexity feels like progress, because understanding something complicated is exactly what smart people are good at. But in the world of money, complexity is often the enemy of action. And no action means no result. James Clear wrote about this pattern in a different context. He called it the difference between being in motion and taking action. Being in motion feels productive. You are reading, planning, analyzing, preparing. You are busy with the idea of doing something. Taking action is different. Taking action produces a result. Motion without action is just a very comfortable form of staying still. Smart people are world-class at being in motion. You have read the books, you know the theory. And still you wait. For what? For certainty that will never come. Think about the investors who became wealthy, not because they knew the most, but because they started the earliest. They did not have better information than you. They had less. They just acted on what they had while you were still gathering more. If you research one more fund, if you read one more book, if you wait for the perfect moment, the moment will pass. It always does. The market moves, the opportunity closes, and another year goes by with the money sitting still while your knowledge grows larger and your results stay flat. This is complexity bias at work. The belief that a better understanding will eventually produce a better outcome. Sometimes it does. But past a certain point, more research is just more delay dressed up as responsibility. A busy person fills their calendar. A free person builds assets that fill their account. Notice the difference. Busy people measure their days by what they did. Free people measure their months by what grew. The busy smart person spent last year learning about 3 investment strategies in great detail. The free person spent last year putting a small amount into one simple strategy every single month. 12 small actions. No complexity, just consistency. At the end of the year, who has more? Rich people act first. Smart people think first. Broke smart people think forever. This is not a criticism. It is a pattern. And patterns can be broken once you see them clearly. The cure for complexity paralysis is not to stop thinking. It is to set a thinking deadline. Give yourself a defined period to research. 1 week. 2 weeks. Whatever the decision requires. And then at the end of that period, you decide. With the information you have, not with the information you wish you had. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time. Without exception, the people who built wealth did not wait until they understood everything. They understood enough, and then they moved. They made mistakes along the way. They adjusted. They kept going. Their account grew while the smart person was still reading chapter 7 of the next book. You already know enough to start. You have known enough for a while now. The question is not what else you need to learn. The question is what you are going to do this week with what you already know. Pick one thing, the simplest version of it. Do that. Then learn from doing, not just from reading. Complexity will always be there waiting for you. Wealth will not. Lesson 6. Busyness as identity. Take a breath. Ask a hardworking person how they are doing. Almost every time they will give you the same answer. Busy. So busy. Incredibly busy. And they mean it. They are not lying. Their calendar is full. Their phone is always going. Their inbox never empties. They move fast, they carry a lot, and they fall into bed at the end of every day feeling like they gave everything they had. Now ask them about their savings. Ask them about their assets. Ask them what financial system they built last year. The answer changes. There is a man most of us know. Maybe you work with him. Maybe you are him. He worked 70-hour weeks for 20 years. He was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. His managers loved him. His clients trusted him. His colleagues respected him deeply. He was always busy, always needed, always exhausted. Always broke. Not broke in the obvious way. He had a salary, he paid his bills, he took a holiday once a year. But at 50 years old, when he sat down and looked honestly at his financial life, the picture was clear. 20 years of hard work. Nothing that worked without him. No investments that had grown quietly in the background. No asset that earned while he slept. Just 2 decades of full effort traded directly for a monthly salary, spent almost completely every month. He had confused being busy with building something. Angela Duckworth spent years studying the relationship between effort and results. Her research on grit showed something important. Effort matters enormously. But effort without direction, effort without a clear purpose, leads not to success, but to burnout. Hard work pointed at the wrong target is not a virtue. It is a very expensive mistake. Busyness without direction is not discipline. It is distraction wearing a hard-working mask. Here is what busyness does to your financial life. It fills your time so completely that there is no space left to think about systems. No hour in the week to ask the bigger questions. No quiet moment to look at where your money is actually going and what it is actually doing. And because you are working so hard, it feels like you are doing everything right. You are giving maximum effort. You are earning your salary honestly. You are tired enough at the end of each day to feel productive. But tired is not the same as wealthy. Effort is not the same as progress, and a full calendar is not the same as a growing account. Busy is not the same as productive. Productive is not the same as rich. The wealthiest people in the world are not the busiest. In fact, many of them are quite deliberate about protecting empty time, time to think, time to review, time to look at the bigger picture and make decisions that will matter in 5 years, not just tomorrow morning. They are not lazy. They work hard when it counts. But they direct that work with intention. Every hour has a purpose beyond just completing a task. Every decision connects to a larger system they are building. The hardworking person who stays broke is often the most admirable person in the room. Dedicated, reliable, tireless, and financially stuck because all of that energy is pointed at someone else's growth instead of their own. This is not about working less. It is about protecting some of your time and energy for work that compounds. Work that builds something. Work that earns beyond the hours you give. 1 hour a week. Set aside deliberately. Not for another task, not for another project from work. 1 hour to look at your financial life, make one small decision, move one piece forward. Busyness will always fill the space you give it. You have to decide what space it does not get. Your time is the most valuable thing you have. Spend some of it on yourself. Lesson 7. The one shift. Here is what most people miss. Everything we have talked about today points to one root cause. One single error that sits underneath all 7 traps. And when you see it clearly, everything else makes sense. The error is this. You have been trained to earn. You have never been trained to own. Earning is what employees do. You perform, you deliver, you receive payment, clean exchange. Repeat. There is nothing wrong with earning. Earning is how you survive. Earning is how you build the raw material. But owning is different. Owning means you have something that works without you. Something that generates value beyond your personal hours. Something that grows while you rest, while you travel, while you are doing other things entirely. Most smart, hardworking people spend their entire career on the earning side. They get better at earning. They earn more over time. And they stay financially dependent because everything they have comes from one source that requires them to keep showing up. Stop trading hours. Stop chasing titles. Stop optimizing for someone else's dream. Start building yours. This is not a gentle suggestion. This is the center of everything. You are not the problem, the trap is. And now you can see it. The employee mindset trained you to solve problems for a salary. The time ceiling showed you that hours cannot scale. The credential addiction kept you preparing instead of acting. Risk aversion made caution feel like wisdom. Complexity paralysis dressed delay up as responsibility. Busyness filled your days so completely there was no space left to build. 6 traps. All of them pointing you away from ownership. All of them keeping you productive inside someone else's system. The shift is not complicated. It does not require you to quit your job tomorrow. It does not require a dramatic leap or a perfect plan or another certification. It requires one question. Asked honestly. Asked today. What do I own? Not what do you earn. Not what do you manage. Not what are you responsible for at work. What do you own? What is working for you right now, in this moment, without your direct involvement? If the answer is nothing, that is not a judgment. That is a starting point. Most people spend their life making their boss richer. The shift is simple. Start making yourself the boss, not the boss of other people, the boss of your own financial life. The person who decides where money goes and what it builds. The person who thinks in systems, not just in salaries. The person who asks not just, how much am I earning, but what am I building? Working hard is not enough. Thinking right is everything. This is the tagline of this lesson, not because it sounds good. It is the tagline because it is true. Every trap we named today came from thinking in the wrong direction. Hard work inside the wrong frame produces hard work inside the wrong frame. The frame has to change first. If you need someone to tell you that you are doing well, you are working for them, not for yourself. Read that again. The validation loop, the performance review, the promotion, the manager's approval. These are not wrong in themselves, but if they are the primary measure of your success, your entire financial future depends on someone else's judgment. That is a fragile place to build a life. The shift is internal before it is external. It starts with a decision, a quiet, firm, non-negotiable decision that you are no longer only building someone else's dream. That some of your intelligence, some of your effort, some of your income is going towards something you own. Small at first, one step, one asset, one system, then another. You are smart enough to do this. You have always been smart enough. The only thing that was missing was the right direction. Now you have it. 7 traps. Let us name them one more time. 1. The employee mindset. Trained to earn for others, not to own for yourself. 2. The time for money ceiling. Hours are finite. Systems are not. 3. Credential addiction. Preparing forever instead of acting now. 4. Risk aversion. Choosing the safe road that quietly costs the most. 5. Complexity paralysis. Thinking forever while others build steadily. 6. Busyness as identity. A full calendar that hides an empty financial life. 7. Never making the shift. From earning to owning. From employee to builder. You were never the problem. The trap was. Now you see it. Now you can leave it. This is the work. Not working harder inside the same system. Thinking differently about what the system is for. Using your income as raw material. Building something that works without you. Starting small. Starting now. Starting with the knowledge you already have. Working hard is not enough. Thinking right is everything. That is the lesson. Not just for today, for every financial decision you make from this point forward. If this lesson moved something in you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. A friend who works incredibly hard and wonders why the money never stays. A colleague who is brilliant and broke and does not understand why. Send it to them. It might be the most useful thing they hear this year. Which trap hit you the hardest? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Keep listening daily, and your English will grow with your mind. See you in the next lesson.